Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Abigail's last-minute note changes everything for Chad? Days of Our Lives spoilers and rumors tease when Nicole DiMera, Ariane Zucker, finds Abigail DiMera's, last played by Marcy Miller, journal and gives it to Chad DiMera, Billy Flynn. It'll change everything. Away from having some substantiation tying it to Lee Shin's, Remington Hoffman, murder, as Abigail was dying, she managed a last nanosecond note to Chad. Days of Our Lives spoilers, Chad has been unfit to move forward. Chad has tried a relationship with Abigail's kinsman Stephanie Johnson, Abigail Klein, but set up himself unfit to move forward, indeed though his woman has been gone over a time. Nicole brings the journal she set up, just a tablet that Abigail was working on for an investigative report, an expose to Chad at the Salem Spectator. He's with Eric Brady, Greg Vaughn, who is stopped by when she brings it, and starts to read it. Chad, with a lonesome Thomas DiMera, Carrie Christopher, who still doesn't understand why Mommy had to go to heaven, had just visited her grave. Chad will turn the tablet in, since her notes may reveal some substantiation tied to another murder besides her own, but not before chancing a final note to him. DOOL spoilers, how was Abigail indeed suitable to write? The police had missed this tablet in the disquisition into Abigail's death. Chad remembers the terrible scene like history, it haunts him. She stayed at home to work on papers while he took the kiddies to a movie. When he returned, she was dead on the bed, a bloody mess. Chad doesn't understand how she was indeed coherent enough to write this note, but she did. He recognizes her handwriting, although it was shaky, and understandably so. The coroner was unfit to determine from her body how long it took her to die from her injuries, but from what she wrote, she knew she was dying. Eric prodigies if he'll have to slip into his former clerk part as Chad's feelings show in his face while reading his late woman's last note to him. Days of Our Lives spoilers, Abigail wanted Chad to find happiness with someone differently after she failed. Her final note to Chad reads she wanted him to find happiness with someone differently after she failed, and someone who would love their little bones as much as she did. She hopes there's such a person that the children will love back. Abigail also expressed concern as to how her parents would handle her impending death. Unfortunately, Abigail didn't see who her bushwhacker was or fate him, other than she knew it was a man and he wore a ski mask. She didn't write anything to indicate Clyde. The disquisition into her death will be restarted because there was the fewest bit of blood that made the slick outside of the tablet sticky. But indeed though her murder disquisition may no longer be an unrestricted case, it does give Chad some check that she want him to find love again. Is Theo Penglis leaving Days of Our Lives? Author, podcaster, and rubberneck Theo Penglis has a lot going on. After several decades in the cleaner pieces world, particularly on Days of Our Lives, the actor said farewell to Sudsers and is embracing new changes in his world. Penglis enjoys complex characters. Cherished actor Theo Penglis has entertained cleaner pieces suckers for a long time. Playing Victor Cassadine in 1981, he was part of his family's satanic plan to control the world until Luke Spencer, Anthony Geary, tossed Vic's family Mikos, John Colicos, into his own cryogenic chamber on General Hospital. Victor returned for a short time in 2014 to pest Port Charles, formerly again. But Days suckers know him well as Count Tony DiMera and his evil binary Andre, also starting in 1981, with several stories over the times that have completely illustrated Penglis' acting chops. In an interview posted on May 8, the World Rubberneck spoke with Soap Opera News about his colorful books, his podcast, and his cleaner pieces characters. With regard to unrighteous characters like Andre or Victor, Penglis participated, I no way suppose I am just a villain. I suppose I am being satanic. I doen't suppose Trump sees himself as a villain moment. It's all open to interpretation. He explained that searching for humor in the character, as well as allowing the observers a peep into his mind, was crucial, but it takes further than a one-dimensional approach. I can't just play the villain. Like one woman said to me, I love abhorring you. So I allowed Well, I am doing my job because it's affecting them, he said, further noting that having numerous layers to a character is how they can stay on a show for long stretches. Still, Pangloss had some agitating news for suckers. This time around, I am meant to do other effects now. You know, I am moving on. Occasionally, you have to be pushed out of the door in order to refresh yourself. Outproduce them. He also developed on that statement, remarking, I am leaving the cleaner world. There are changes passing that I see Aunt Bandy right now. It feels like it's coming from nearly differently, perhaps with a different pen. When people start taking you for granted, you change. Looking forward to the road ahead, he's presently enjoying his life and likened this change to an awakening. He felt that as a creator, he demanded to explore this new path in his life, indeed though it would fail his suckers. IV had a fulfilling trip, and I am agitated to see what's coming. After over 40 times, IV realized that some Gemutlokite in this assiduity are relatively shallow. It's rare to find meaningful connections. I treasure the many connections that reverberate with me. He felt that despite him supporting others, there hasn't been a lot of support recompensed from the cleaner piece's assiduity for him. It's a tone-serving terrain, and I've come to accept this verity. While I cherish my time on the show, my life has taken a different path now. Sorely, there wouldn't be a send-off for the character, and when we last saw Tony and his woman, Anna, Leanne Hunley, in 2023, that's the last we'll ever see of him. He ended with parting words for his suckers. The suckers who have been there throughout the times mean a lot to me. I am really thankful. Maggie eventually learns the truth about Constantine on days. Marlena asked Maggie to come over to her apartment to bandy marriage details on the May 9th occasion of Days of Our Lives. Maggie was beyond shocked when John, Steve, and Marlena filled her in on how Constantine used Stefano's card to grip John into doing his bidding. Now, they've a plan in stir. Constantine messes with the wrong redhead. Maggie, Suzanne Rogers, was frightened when Marlena, Deidre Hall, John, Drake Hodgson, and Stephen Nichols, explained how they figured out what Constantine, John Capellos, was over to. John had missed time in nearly every case he was alone with Constantine, which urged Marlena to use hypnotism on him. They realized that the Minotaur Greek was applying a card that Stefano, Joseph Mascalo, used to spark John into getting a ruthless operative known as the Pawn. He might want to pop over to General Hospital and use the card on Drew, Cameron Matheson, to get him back to normal. Find out details regarding the Pawn. The three explained how Marlena helped John push once Constantine's control and pretend to do what he said. Maggie was indeed further worried when she learned that Constantine had ordered him to recoup the prenup from her safe so that he could burn it. Thankfully, John shifted out the original with a fake and gave the real papers to Maggie. However, Maggie was extremely spooked when she realized that Constantine's wind-up was to exclude her and steal all her dough, if that wasn't bad enough. The three icons told her they had a plan to take the conman down, and Maggie readily agreed to go on with it, swearing, "Damn him, he has meddled with the wrong redhead." In a subtle yet effective scene, Maggie was left in gashes, but you could see the resoluteness on her face as she left to go and play pretend with the villain. How will their plan go down? John gave Maggie a crucifix charm that was actually an IS micro device that can summon him or Steve, which is super cool in a sci-fi way, but is it like a life alert? How does it magically know if she's in trouble? Does she just cry, "I am trapped, and Constantine won't let me get out"? And they'll come to the deliverance in the Black Patch Mobile? Inquiring minds need to know these details. They also plan to set her phone up so they can track her, which is a great idea. Still, if Constantine gets to the point where he's going to chain her up in a storehouse nearly, he'll most likely smash her phone. Immaculately, the triad is going to need to set up a situation where Constantine has to use the card on a faking John again, and they must retake it. Up till now, they've no evidence of what he's done, but if they do that, they're sure to nab him.